Welcome to Medical Confessions.
Your remedy for serious medicine. I'm Jen.
I'm April.
And I'm Scott. Today we're going to be talking about some weird disease transmissions. You might not think that that can kill you or that you can get a disease that way, but apparently you can. Looking at our analytics, apparently you fans out there like the weird medicine stuff, because that seems to be our best listened to shows are the weird stuff, so we're going to do it again, and hopefully you like it.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense, like people's obsession with the weird, you know, because I think it makes you feel better about yourself. You're like, oh, it's so much worse than I do. Yeah. But I think in my research for this project here, I was kind of surprised because some of the diseases were not new to me. I knew of them, but then it freaked me out to find out that they were transmitted in these ways. Like, I was kind of surprised and scared.
That's like most of our episodes, is once we dig in and do some research, I'm like, gosh,
this is horrible.
I feel so lucky right now that I have not gotten any of these.
Right. It always makes me think of that TV show House, you know, like where he would see these patients and they're the anomalies. They would have some weird things like a step on a nail, and now he's like every organ's failing. Yeah, yes. Oh, so, well, shall we start?
Sure.
I'm going to just segue into the one that I found initially, and it's kind of what I was saying. I've heard of this before, but I didn't realize that it could be transmitted this way. And the non-medical terminology is elephantiasis.
Oh, I've seen these.
Right? So elephantiasis is the gross enlargement and swelling of an area of the body because of an accumulation of fluid. The arms and legs are the areas most often affected. An entire arm or leg may swell to several times its normal size, resembling the thick, round appearance of an elephant's skin. It's not limited to limbs, though. It sounds like it can also happen in the scrotum.
Yeah, I've seen this before. You have basketball balls.
Well, and that's kind of what I've always thought of that term is male genitals.
Genitalia.
Yeah,
elephantiasis.
right.
Okay.
So, but then it goes on to
Just
say...
the balls?
Or are you thinking that the trunk
well, I don't know. That's my question.
As well?
Is it just the balls?
I don't know, Dr. Scott.
More for well, it's going to be a lymph node problem, right? Like a clogged lymph node. So
yes, I haven't even finished my speech, and he's already turning this into smart guy stuff. Let me finish, Scott. Elephantiasis may also affect the male and female external genitalia organs. In a male, there may be...
Female, too?
It does, yeah. Let me continue. Ooh. It says, in a male, there may be enlargement of the scrotum, and the penis may be retracted under the skin, which has become thickened, not elastic, hot, and painful. So, April, like the opposite of what... Yeah, that's not good. The spermatic cords may thicken. Affected individuals may experience pain and burning sensation. The external parts of the female genital organs, also known as the vulva, may also be affected by elephantiasis. A tumorous mass covered by thickened and ulcerated skin may develop between the thighs and may be accompanied by enlarged lymph nodes of the legs. In some women, the breasts may also become enlarged. That doesn't sound so horrible.
No! Yeah.
But what I'm thinking of is this
like
sounds...
how could you wear a swimsuit, right? Because then it looks like, you know...
Yeah, you'd probably skip swimming for a time period. Yeah. Well, and what I'm thinking of is our sweat episode where we talked about how people have issues with sweaty nether regions. This sounds way worse than sweat.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Sounds really bad.
Sounds painful.
So underlying damage
to the
lymph.
But I gotta imagine there'd be some seepage, too, because you've got an infection happening, you know, and so you get a little of both.
I'm thinking, like, hospital bed, gown. Like, I don't think you'd be out hanging out with people, Scott. I think you said you'd be sequestered.
Wearing spandex is what you're saying?
I think you'd be sequestered at this point. Mm-hmm. Underlying damage to the lymphatic system may leave individuals susceptible to secondary bacterial and fungal infections that can greatly worsen. So, as horrible as this all sounds, the cause is what really got me. It says, as lymph moves through the lymphatic system, it is filtered by a network of small structures known as lymph nodes that help to remove microorganisms and other foreign bodies. Group of lymph nodes are located throughout the body, which we kind of already knew that. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like in underdeveloped regions, South America, Central America, Asia, and Pacific Islands, obstructions can be caused by parasitic disease known as lymphatic filariasis. It's caused by 3 different species of worms And these worms can be transmitted in larval forms by mosquitoes.
So basically, why are you getting bit by a mosquito there?
Does it have to be there, or can it get into your lymph nodes?
I guess it could travel to the lymph
Oh,
node.
look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. I'm assuming. I don't know, but I
Because
don't.
it's going to travel to the nearest lymph node, wherever they
Right.
get you at. Maybe
What do
it's
you
there.
mean there? What if you're at a nude beach or something?
It's totally
There's nothing
normal.
wrong with it. I'm not judging. I'm just saying.
Anyway.
Like,
Why would
I'm-
you get bit there? Like it?
Yeah.
Like that's
Like,
impossible.
what sicko? Yeah, and actually, now
Have you
that
ever
you
gotten
mention
stung by a mosquito there?
stung, I don't think they call it stung.
Stung?
I think it's called bit.
Stung? I don't know. I think of stinging because they're, you know.
They're little. Well, you know,
No.
so I was raised in an area where mosquitoes are famously horrible. Like, you know, they joke that it's the
So
state
have you been
bird.
bitten there?
I didn't get bit often. My sister did. And even now I don't get bit by them. But I remember, like, when we were kids, you would get, like, mosquito bites in between your fingers and between your toes. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, I don't know that you can...
She avoided the question.
I've never been.
Okay. Just
No.
checking.
I did.
See, it doesn't seem very common to me.
It probably isn't, but if it gets in your lymph nodes and then travels. So
Yeah.
it just sounds really horrible because, like I said, I've heard of this before. I've always thought of it as more of like an isolated. I didn't know it was transmitted by mosquitoes. That's pretty creepy.
Mosquitoes
One more
and
reason
parasites.
to D up, apparently. Oh, April, what have you got?
Well, I have a. This one made me think of you, Jen, because we've
Oh.
talked in earlier episodes about you eating a slug
Okay.
on a
Oh.
dare.
Right.
This same thing, 29-year-old Australian man in 2010 was dared to eat a slug. Days later, he complained of leg pain and was eventually diagnosed by his doctor with a rat lungworm infection and died 8 years later.
I've
How long
read.
ago did you eat the slug?
It's been like 7 years.
Oh, so you're still in the incubation period, maybe?
Yeah.
Any weird leg pain?
No,
Oh.
not yet.
Yeah, the CDC says that most people will recover on their own, but it also can cause a like uncommon form of meningitis.
Oh.
Oh.
Once ingested, the worm can penetrate into the intestines, traverse into the nervous system, and burrow into the brain's outer liner.
Oh.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Gosh, so not worth what I got paid.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, you
Did it-
did it on a dare. We all do stupid things. And,
Yeah.
oh, damn. Like 8 years later, you die because of something. This guy didn't even sound like he got paid for it.
It's just a dare?
Yeah. They were at a party.
Hold my beer, watch this.
Yeah,
Yes,
seriously.
exactly.
Once
That's what
again.
it was.
Yeah.
Can
But
you imagine being the friend who actually dared? Like, I'd feel horrible.
Right.
What do you think's in breast milk that could maybe hurt you? Because you
God.
drank breast milk
Scott.
recently. I like to
Yeah.
bring that up a lot.
Yeah.
I
Reminder.
don't know, but I blame
See if
your
the gag
sister-in-law
reflex is still
for
in
sure.
place there. April and I were feeding some squirrels before we filmed today, and I actually, I know, just like
Only at your house can the term "we were feeding squirrels" not seem
they're
weird.
babies, they're orphaned, so they're getting fed, like bottle fed, basically. And so April helped me care for these baby squirrels, and I actually was curious because the formula that we're giving them is got like kind of a weird, pungent, milky smell, and I was actually kind of wondering if it was bothering because I don't like the smell of it, and I'm just curious, like if April wanted to gag when she was.
It did have a distinct smell, but it didn't bother me to the point of
You didn't like
gagging.
regress back to the day.
No,
of your...
it was just like, oh, par for the course. Milk, gross.
I like to remind you enough that you can stick it into that long-term memory. You don't have to memory palace this at all. You can
That's
just
right. It's just there.
just gonna keep
Breast
bringing it
milk.
up.
I drank that once.
I want it to be constantly reaffirmed to her to where like someday you're just going to be walking through the mall and seeing a mom breastfeed and you're just going
Twitch.
to vomit. It's like Kenny from South Park. Just, blah.
Oh, that's funny.
What do you have, Scott?
Well, I have only one, but it might make you gag. I'm not sure, but
Well, your homework is impressive, so I'm excited to
Is
deliver
it?
this. Well, yeah, like
Got
April and I
notes?
are just, yeah.
Well, And I've heard of this before in different contexts, but never looked into it enough to talk specifics. But let's just say that you can be allergic to seminal fluid or semen.
Yeah.
Specifically the the spermatosa that are the sperm itself, you can't be allergic to. It's all the other stuff that's in sperm that people can be allergic to. It's a pretty unrecognized or underdiagnosed thing because it's not very well studied. I couldn't find a single study out there on the actual epidemiology of how prevalent is it. So there was a review published in 2011 in the Mount Sinai Journal of Medicine where they estimated about 40,000 Americans are afflicted with allergy to sperm, which seems crazy. That's a high number to me because I never even, I don't know anybody that has been.
Is it appropriate to call it allergic to sperm, or should it be seminal fluid?
I would say seminal fluid depends on your definition of sperm, right? When people talk sperm, they're usually talking about the ejaculate, right? Most people aren't talking about the actual sperm itself. They're talking about the entire volume of the ejaculate, if you were.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Took a poll.
And this is what we say. Well, before we get into what you can be allergic to, let's talk about a little bit about the composition, because I've never really paid attention, but apparently there's more stuff in there than you would think. So when it comes to the actual sperm cells, the spermatosa, that's only about 2 to 5% of the total ejaculate. So and I remember getting a vasectomy and the doc saying, oh, it's not really going to change much because it's only about 2%. And I thought, oh, weird. Okay. I thought it would change a lot, but...
Did you fret over that? Were you like, oh no?
Well, brutal honesty, I remember at the time going, is this really going to affect my partner more than me, And I do think I remember asking, just to be crass, asking about like taste, texture, like smells, like is it going to be different? Because nobody wants to be that guy that's like shooting out breast milk, that somebody's going to throw up at every time I make it.
Mud.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall, like when that doctor left your exam room and then like went and talked to their like partner at work, or they were probably just like, wow, this guy's got issues.
Or thinking, yeah, he's dating a swallower.
Oh.
Well, the irony, I wasn't dating anybody at the time. It was... Oh, that's funny because my roommate actually gave me a ride home and we weren't dating. Weird. So maybe he did think that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought.
I did not think that. I did not. I wasn't. I did not even go there. He said that and I was like,
well, why would you ask? Like, what? I mean, I guess...
was curious, like, because I don't want,
You said you were more worried about your partner.
Well, yeah, any future partners. I was single at the time. Like, you don't want to, like, have something change, and... Like if you're taking steroids, I'm going to, certain things in your body's going to change. You might want to let your partner know I'm going to get aggressive or whatever. But
do you think that potentially could have been the reason someone would dump you? Like they would be like, he's wonderful, he's smart, he's got a great job, but...
His semen.
Well, this is the eternal question, right? Like the best guy in the world, but, maybe hung like a hamster. Would you,
This has turned into a bad place. Let's get back on topic.
God, yes. Tell us more about semen.
Let's edit some of this out. So tell us more about semen. So I've got some specifics if you're interested. The volume of the ejaculate is normally, on average, 3.4 milliliters. There was a study done on that, and I don't know how they did this study, but I don't want to be the one measuring that. That's about a teaspoon or less is average.
They probably just like went to a sperm bank and unwilling, once they donated, they probably just measured.
So I read a little bit of it, and that's not how they did it, and they were just kind of like...
You just said you don't know how they did it exactly.
Well, I didn't want to get into the specifics, because that's going to come later on when it comes to...
First he shows up, and he doesn't have a study to back his data, and now he's a liar. Like, I don't even know you. We take a couple weeks off, and I don't even know you, Scott.
You've changed.
Oh, poor Scott.
How did they do it?
Yeah, how do they do it?
So exactly like you think. Just they even measured the types of stuff in there, so they found that the longer you go without ejaculating, the more spermatosa you're going to have, but the volume itself stays the same. So the percentage of your spermatosa will go up.
Okay, that makes sense.
You're really not going to like how they figure out if you're truly allergic and what you're allergic to, because that's a little gross, but we'll get into that later. So spermatosa, 2 to 5%. The other fluids are going to be coming from your seminal vesicles, your prostate, and your bulbourethral glands. Why are you
There was a
laughing?
pun in there that made me giggle. Sorry.
Now I want to hear it.
Yeah, you need
heard
to hear it.
No, I'm not repeating it. I'm
Can you read that
embarrassed.
line again?
The other parts of it come from seminal vesicles. Is that it? You're laughing way too hard now. You have to tell us.
You're gonna have to edit this out. I'm not repeating it because it'll end up on some horrible bloopers episode. The day my nose is all bandaged up, it'll be replayed 27 times. So just carry on.
So your seminal vesicles are going to supply 65 to 75% of the volume. There's going to be things like proteins or different amino acids, flavins, fructose, and even vitamin C. So that's exciting. For those health nuts.
No pun intended.
Your prostate will account for about 25 to 30%, and then there's things like citric acid and zinc. The reason why the prostate's important, because the thing that's been shown that people are most likely allergic to is going to be a prostate antigen, and so they found that if they can isolate the prostate-specific antigen, is what it's called, that is usually then classified as a typical sperm allergy, and that's what you're going to be allergic to.
Okay.
And they figure that out just as you would expect most allergies. They do a skin prick test, so you can see what's involved there. They take a little bit of the sperm, they dilute it a little bit, and they stick it under your skin and see what happens.
That is a little weird, but it's not as gross as I would have thought it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so some of the case reports I have, how they figured out, is they basically have your partner,
Yeah.
ejaculate, and they take your sperm, and then they dilute it down, and then they stick you with it and see what happens. And so part of one of the treatments for being allergic or having this sperm allergy is desensitization. So they will dilute it and just keep injecting it in you until you are now
Succumb to
desensitized. That's one method they can
man.
choose.
And it's only females?
No, so some men can be allergic to their own. So some more numbers, about 50% of people who do have this true sperm allergy, the very first time with intercourse is when it shows up. So about half the time you'll just know right away. And it's actually underdiagnosed. A lot of docs will just diagnose it with chronic vaginitis and just an infection of some sort, like a UTI or whatever, just because they're not putting two and two together, I guess.
Wow.
And how about for men?
I didn't see a lot on men specifically. Most of these are women that get affected, but one way that the hallmark test to say if you are is you don't have any symptoms when you're wearing a condom.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask if that. Yeah.
So that's one test they'll do, and then so your symptoms are going to be your standard allergy symptoms, right? You're going to get itching, redness, some swelling. You can get more of an anaphylactic reaction.
You are just drawing so much visual.
Yeah. You're spunky today. Like creative with your
talking
I
about
can't
sperm.
turn off the pictures that are going through my mind of just gross.
Your memory palace is full today, is what you're saying?
No, I'm just imagining the grossest vagina. That's what's gonna happen.
Again, I
Between
wasn't
the
there.
elephantitis and the allergy to sperm, once again we've digressed to sex talk.
Itching, swell. You started it with your stupid study.
Yeah, totally.
So that's a typical reaction, is going to be this prostate-specific antigen. There are atypical reactions, and so it's long been theorized that the different stuff in sperm can be affected by what you eat and the medications you take. So the 2 case reports I have were people who had nut allergies and allergies to penicillin, who then had a mild anaphylactic reaction from oral sex.
Okay. That makes sense.
So the first case report comes in 2007. I like the title to the case report. It's called Dangerous Liaison, Sexually Transmitted Allergic Reaction to Brazil Nuts.
Oh, that's a bad nut to be allergic to. Those are delicious.
Yeah.
That's like macadamia nut quality there.
Well, and ironically, it's the second most common nut allergy.
Oh, really?
Is that I didn't know
I've
that.
never heard that before. I feel like they're hard to find too. Like I don't feel like they use them. Like
is it a true Brazil nut from Brazil? Is that why they call it a Brazil
I don't know.
nut?
They're really unique looking, and when you get like a mixed, like before they've been cracked out of their shell, there's not a lot of them. Like they'll have like tons of chestnuts, but the Brazil nuts are hard to find.
This is true.
It is true. Thank you for backing me up. I was feeling like a nerd.
No.
Either way, so this 20-year-old woman in Surrey, England, came down with widespread urticaria, so hives everywhere and shortness of breath after having sex. And her partner had just eaten Brazil nuts. It was known that she had a Brazil nut allergy, so the docs confirmed the allergic reaction by testing her, doing the skin prick test with her partner's semen before and after he ate Brazil nuts.
Oh.
And sure enough, the time they did the skin test after the Brazil nuts, she had a reaction. So if you're allergic to something, maybe be careful if your partner is
well, I was just
ingesting
thinking
that.
too, like what are the odds if he had just ingested them and they were making out, let's just say, like wouldn't, if there was any residual Brazil nuts between teeth, like wouldn't that be a potential?
Well, and so it could be the potential, but they narrowed it down to theirs because they did the skin prick test
That's
with the semen itself. So,
what was the second one?
So the second case study was one more recent, actually, just came out, which started this whole deep dive into sperm, apparently, was a 31-year-old woman. And her case report was in the British Medicine Journal. And hers was, the title of this one was, Anaphylaxis was probably induced by transfer of amoxicillin via oral sex. And they say probably because they didn't do the skin prick test with that. But it made sense to the doctors because she's had a known penicillin allergy. It's never been proven, but it's theorized that amoxicillin can get, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically goes into fat cells, and lipid cells are part of sperm. So either way, she had a mild anaphylactic reaction after having the oral sex, and her boyfriend was on amoxicillin from having an ear infection. So the theory then is that she got this anaphylactic reaction from that as well. So at the end of the day, these would be atypical sperm allergies because they came from medicine or foods, but you can be allergic to sperm. And the treatments are use a condom. That seems pretty obvious. You can get sperm where they take out all the extra stuff and just leave the spermatosa, and then they can inject that into you if you want to get pregnant and you have this allergy problem.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So they can go at it that way, or the desensitization techniques is also there.
Or you could just find a different partner. It seems easier.
Unless you're allergic to all of it.
Oh, okay.
But it can be partner specific.
Yeah.
Depending on the composition of their ejaculate versus the other ones.
Yeah.
No comment.
Yours was so in depth that you only get one today.
You're done.
That was it. Well, as promised, you don't get another one, Scott. So I guess that concludes this episode.
We're not talking about sperm anymore.
But like all of our previous ones, I enjoy these ones because none of us really know what the other one's going to present, and it's always just kind of fun to hear about it and to I guess connect it to previous episodes, like we did the breast milk connection earlier in this episode.
See how many times a show we can bring up breast milk?
That's right.
Well, and I have seen, have you seen now the Ghost Pepper Challenge on YouTube?
No.
It's a thing. Google it. And I feel like you were the first. The inciting incident, because we'd never seen that before. And then you ate the ghost pepper, and now I see it all over the place. People eating ghost peppers.
No, because my son...
That's right.
Yeah,
Parker did it kind of before we did. We got his leftovers, actually.
Carolina Reapers and all sorts, and him and his friends would do it when they were younger.
Well, I should warn them of the after effects. I now have to drink apple cider vinegar.
SciShow has a funny one where the reporter's like typing down his symptoms as they're going along, and just his narrative over the whole 24-hour period is hilarious. And all the while his girlfriend's like, "You're such an idiot." He's just dying.
So true. Well, good. Well, if you like what you saw or heard today, please check us out on YouTube or our podcast.
Or visit our website, medicalconfessions.com.
Jane Doe.
Welcome to Medical Confessions,
your remedy for serious medicine. I'm Jen.
I'm April.
And I'm Scott. Who's got their phone on now?
Made me so happy.
Redo that. I never have it on Audible. That's embarrassing. I'm off my A game today. The nose. Jane Doe.
No, that's not lethargia. What's that say?
Oh, lethargica.
Lethargica. Like, this is not matching up with how you're saying this word.
All right.
Lethargica. Okay. It's called encephalitis lethargica.
Scott and I just had a moment. I've never done this with Scott. I make faces with you all the time when he says annoying things. Mm-hmm. Scott and I just made eye contact over
because
you.
I want to get the word right. Yes. You guys are like,
we just did this like sideways, like, oh, Jane Doe. We have no connection. Carry on.
You're dead to me.
It's an off day for us, Scott.
Okay. I'm not saying it again.
Okay. Just forward. You know what we should do like they do on the Ron Burgundy podcast? Have you listened to that? So this is wrong, but my family listened to it on our little recent vacation. Mm-hmm. And he does this episode where he can't say this. It's a bullying episode. He can't say the girl's name. So he does his voice every time this other little girl mentions this one's name. His ridiculous, like, broadcaster's voice. And so the little girl's like, well, she used to bully me, but, you know, that's what... And he goes, Jane Doe. Like, super. So we should take, like, the Ron Burgundy voiceover and put it over your thing.
Okay. It's called...
Jane Doe.
Encephalitis
You've got 4 minutes to get this shit done.
All right.
Jane Doe.